It's BBC London 94.9, it's 7:47, and the Civil Aviation Authority has confirmed that an unidentified drone came close to hitting a plane as it was landing at Heathrow Airport. An Airbus A320 pilot reported seeing a helicopter-style drone at an altitude of 700 feet as the jet approached the runway back in July. There's been a rise in popularity of these unmanned aerial vehicles, which can cost as little as £30. Former British Airports Authority's head of media, Andrew Teacher, joins us now. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning.
How big a problem might these drones be, do you think?
Well, it could become quite a big problem if people start getting hold of them. And as you sort of mentioned there in your intro, people are starting to. I think the facts are that anything over 20 kilograms is actually banned unless it's unless it's on a military base. But as with a lot of these sorts of things, the problem is that the regulators haven't necessarily been able to keep up with technology. But I think it'd be unfair to blame the CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority, so it's a bit of a mouthful on Monday, because ultimately this isn't what they do. They're not created to regulate what are, in many respects, big toys, and I think that's where the decision making is now going to have to focus on where the regulator begins and ends, and whether we need specific rules to cover some of these new emerging problems.
Now we talk about drones, and as you say, essentially these are just things like remote-controlled helicopters and things, aren't they?
Well, they can be. I mean, there's basically the CAA has a list of regulated companies that can use the things, and the problem is that at one end, yes, they are toys. At the other end, they are the things that can be used for freight. So that's why companies like Amazon are very big in lobbying for these things in the States. They want lots of freedoms enacted so they can fly your parcels around town and get you stuff delivered within 20 minutes or whatever. But also, other people that are regulated are obviously the BBC and other people that use them for filming. And that's one of the things that people are getting quite upset about, is the potential for their data to be shared without their permission. So the CAA has a list of companies that have permission. The problem is that people who don't necessarily have the skills to use the things are able to. So I think that's the issue.
What's the solution though? Because we all know. I've funnily enough, we gave a little remote-controlled helicopter, which was immediately essentially driven very high up into a tree within about, I would say, 10 seconds by a 10-year-old. So the point is, these things are out there. How do you stop people using them and not getting into trouble?
Well, I think you need rules on what sorts of power that they have. Something that you might have bought in a toy shop for a child isn't necessarily going to have the power to get up.
No, it was very small.
Well, yeah, unless you've got a very unfortunate gust of wind, that's probably not going to kind of in any way trouble the engine of a plane landing over an airport. So I think it's a matter of common sense. At one end, you're going to have people like the Air Pilots Association, obviously. Those kind of that end of the thing, they basically want the controllers of drones to have the same experience and the same skills as pilots, and that's one of the things that the pilots associations are lobbying for. Is basically a sense that you need to have a pilot's license to fly a commercial drone, and that does make sense, because in many respects something flying at that height or anywhere approaching that height could have problems. And the other issue is how those drones communicate to the pilots and the other systems that they use. Because again, if something's on the same road, it needs to have a way of communicating with them, and that's basically the issue.
So actually, if every drone kind of had something within it that could be tracked, that would be perhaps one solution. Can I just also ask you about? There's this one of the stories in the papers talking about this. It talks about the fact that within 10 years we could see remote aircraft the size of a Boeing 737.
Well, to some extent, we already do. A lot of these spaceships and satellites that we see whizzing around comets and planets, they're all remote controlled, aren't they? So I think it's not beyond the realms of possibilities that might happen. I think it would be probably a little bit extreme to suggest that such a thing would be flying over the streets of London anytime soon. But certainly the technology is there to to remote control an item. And I think the challenge here is going to fall on the government, on the Department of Transport, to sort out where the line begins and ends, at what is classed as a commercial drone, what is classed within the circle by which you need to have a proper pilot's license, and that will determine, I guess, the amount that we can focus on regulation of those sorts of areas. But ultimately, I think it's going to need to look at controls over what things are marketed and sold here, and having a slightly stronger level of control over other stuff that's imported.
Thank you for joining us. British Airports Authority former head of media there, Andrew Teacher, speaking to BBC London 94.9, which is now 7:53.
And we've been asking for your thoughts